Are Cine lenses chip chop chop? So I recently came across a question that I found interesting, and the question was, are Cine lenses actually better quality, or are they just housed for more practical use for certain projects? Now, I've been obsessed lately with Cine lenses, and I wouldn't say it has nothing or all to do with quality. It's just on a case-by-case basis. Yes, you can label anything Cine, and so in that way, the label means nothing. However, the implication is that a Cine lens has been designed looking towards separate considerations than its still photography counterparts, both optical and mechanical considerations. You see, focus breathing, for instance, does not need to be considered when designing stills glass. While this is a very crucial factor in Cine glass, Cine lens designs benefit from significantly less focus breathing and have a much longer focus throw with hard stops. So when manually focusing, even solo, you can repeat focus changes, and focusing during a take will look natural and avoids the breathing from stills lenses, especially if they are focused by wire or have very small throws without hard stops. Being properly collimated for certain mounts and parfocal in the case of zooms are both much more important for Cine users than in photography. These are all optical considerations. The mechanical side, it's more obvious. Cine lenses are optimized usually for entirely manual use, while photography lenses include many automatic functionality. But the truth is, tons of Cine lenses are starting to steal glass elements from their still variants. The K35s share elements from their FD counterparts, but many extremely high lenses built expressly for cinema don't have still counterparts either. Quality is extremely variable, as you know some Cine lenses have a ton of character that massively impacts the image, its resolution, and the quality. However, many of those lenses are built with much stronger mounting, in this case PL, accurate and measured distance marks, smooth aperture rings, and pitched gears, making working with a first AC pulling focus consistent and repeatable, which is what you want on a production. I think it's why companies like Cook are releasing versions of their lenses that work better for solo ops, but also have gears if needed. But they're much smaller and lighter, with shorter focus range over their bigger brothers. Manual apertures are also very valuable, even shooting solo. For example, ramps in a shot or more subtle exposure changes when using a system without an electronic variable ND. But why are they so pricey? Part of the reason Cine lenses are more expensive is because fewer of them are manufactured. It comes down to economics of scale. Shout out to economics. Isn't necessarily based on quality of the glass in the lens. For example, Canon has produced 150 million plus EF lenses since 1987. So with such a huge scale, they're able to bring the cost down. That's why you can get an AF zoom lens with IBIS and all kinds of other technology for like $1,000, compared to say Arri, who produces much smaller numbers of handcrafted lenses, and you can see why their costs are much higher. They don't have scale yet. On one hand, there's a lot of money poured into developing Cine lenses to make them the highest quality they can be, more so than video or photography. And if you look at the Panavision sets, the chemical compositions of those lenses are like some of the biggest guarded secrets in the lens world, because they are considered to be of such high quality. Mind you, this quality is decided by personal preferences, how light blooms, different tints, softness, character, and a bunch of other things. But a lot of people have time and time again said that Panavision creates some of the best lenses, if not the best in the world. They literally are only still in business because of their lenses, and maybe because of some of their cameras as well. Most of the older considerable irreplaceable glass for both photography lenses, but more so cinema lenses, they're called irreplaceable because the guys who created the chemical formulas for the glass, they've passed on. They're dead. And the truth is, they're not making lenses today like how they were in the past. A lot of knowledge has been lost in the science behind crafting cinema lenses. Now, this doesn't mean that newer lenses aren't as good. It's just different, and the science is almost too perfect. People want character. I love character, which is why newer lenses aren't considered to be as of the same high quality as the older ones. But again, some of the more popular lenses on big film sets for the last 2 to 5 years are older photography lenses sets like Nikon's and Canon K35s that have been rehoused to meet cinema standards. These lenses were never created for film or video, and they're still very pricey because of the rehousing and how rare they are. There definitely are companies that just makes the same type of lens and up the price for cinema standards, like slightly understandable given its more complicated housing. But yeah, some of it is just really aesthetics. Sometimes Cine is often used to justify absurd markups. A low-tier brand could slap a potato with the Cine label, making the label mean nothing without context. But if you're comparing lenses from the same manufacturer, particularly companies that have been trusted for many decades, then the label is usually more useful. For instance, compare Leica Summilux still glass with Summilux Cs. They have their similarities, but where they diverge is exactly how I described above, reflecting the C for cinema. Not to imply that the Leica Cine lenses are rehoused still lenses, because they're not. For rehoused lenses, it means that they are more mechanically suited for narrative cine work, but there are likely not any optical differences. For Meteor manufacturers like Sigma, and in the case of Zeiss Meteor offerings like the CP2s, the differences are mainly mechanical. But from what I understand, they are more selective and have tighter manufacturer tolerances for Cine lenses. For the high-end manufacturers like Leica and Zeiss, the difference is both mechanical and optical. But sure, why get Cine lenses if you're running a small crew or going solo? For me personally, the chief reason I prefer cinema glass over photography glass, aside of the image rendition, is the focus throw. A lot of photo lenses have a small focus throw, which makes pulling focus easily and accurately a real pain, exponentially if they're focused by wire. You also don't get many anamorphic photography lenses, and if you get a set of lenses, their focus gears are usually in the same place for faster lens swaps. This saves a lot of time on set. At the end of the day, yes, the ultra high-end stuff really can give me a lot of options for shaping a look, whether that means the borderline optical perfection you get out of master primes or something kind of funky like Hawk v-lites. So the difference between budget Cine lenses and photo lenses aren't that big of a difference. But once you start to mess around with the higher end Cine lenses, you can definitely tell a big difference in the quality of the glass. Let me give you an example. Rent a Cooke S4 35mm and a Sony G Master 35mm and see the comparison in image quality. That will tell you everything you need to know. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why Cine lenses are expensive. I'm out.